We're going to bring up our guest for the evening, the one, the only, the Sporty Jordy, one of our favorite Eagles fans, probably our favorite one that we've had on. Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? Thanks so much for having me on again.
Doing great. I just feel like we just had you on like 4 or 5 weeks ago. And
It was.
It was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was quick.
I think so. Three or 4 weeks ago.
It was 4 weeks ago because I remember yours truly ironically went to Philly the week after, although that was to see my Rangers destroy the Flyers.
Yeah, you guys definitely, you have our cards there, so.
Well, I know there's a big question, and Sam, I want to start with you here.
Yes.
We don't know who's starting at QB this week.
Yeah. It's something that I know that we've even spoke about a lot these past 2 weeks, Jordan. So, who would you rather see, and who do you think will end up being the starter for the Eagles this Sunday?
Yeah, so my answer over the course of the last 2 weeks has changed dramatically. Going into it, I literally said, I was like, listen, if Minshew plays the Saints and loses, I still would prefer to see him start against the Giants because, I'm someone who has a Gardner Minshew Eagles jersey hanging on the wall behind her. I Minshew mania all the way, but with the way our team has looked under him the last 2 weeks, I am now all for at least start Jalen Hurts for the first half of this game, kind of like what you guys were saying just before you brought me on. Just because, I'm not as confident about my Eagles team coming into this game as I was the last time we played the Giants. Last time we played you guys, I know I was nice on here, and I was like, oh yeah, Giants can cover, like it's going to be a close game. But I knew there was a part of me that's like the Eagles are going to blow them out. This week, we don't even need a blow. We can win by 1 point. That's all we need to clinch that 1 seed. So I at least want Jalen Hurts to come out, get us ahead. And last time we played you guys, we went up 21-0 in the first quarter. So like if he can come out, get us up by a touchdown or two, kind of at least give us that lead and then finish with Gardner Minshew, I think that's best case scenario. But yeah, no, we've officially entered start Jalen Hurts. I do not want to blow this 1 seed. That's the mode we're in.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. However, if I'm being honest, and Jordy, tell me where I'm wrong, I don't even think the Jalen Hurts injury is even the biggest loss that the Eagles had. I think the loss of Lane Johnson is an absolute killer because I think I saw a stat somewhere and some Eagles fan on Twitter confirmed it. That guy, I don't think that guy allowed a sack. No. And to lose him for the season, and look, you guys know what I've often said. You need a really strong offensive lineman to have a functioning offense. And it's obvious that he was a big reason as to why Miles Sanders has the amount of rushing yards and touchdowns that he has. And, Jalen Hurts is having the MVP year that he has. And in fact, he's partially why I don't really like to think of Jalen Hurts as an MVP. No offense, Jordy, but again,
we're all entitled to our opinions.
would you pretty much, how important truly is he on the right side of that offensive line? And how do you think it's going to affect them going into the playoffs?
We've already seen it, and I think the combination of losing Lane Johnson and Jalen Hurts these last 2 weeks really has been that silent killer because I think let's look at it. If we had Jalen Hurts out there with no Lane Johnson, you have a much better chance of winning, but I still think we see a much different Eagles offense than we have from the first 15 weeks of this season. But when you have Gardner Minshew out there with no Lane Johnson, you really see how much weight he really holds and how crucial he is. So that was so devastating. And losing Jalen Hurts, like I said, I've been a Gardner Minshew believer. I really thought, I was like, oh, this sucks, but Gardner Minshew's going to be able to do it. And I think had Lane Johnson been out there, we would have been clinched the 1 seed, wouldn't have been an issue for the rest of the season. But I mean, it just shows. I mean, Nick Sirianni said it best. He's not just the best right tackle in the league. He is the best tackle. Like, he is that important. He's been a foundation for our team for years and years and years. So it's devastating. But I think, like I said, getting Jalen Hurts back, I think gives us if he plays, gives us that best chance of winning. And I don't think we'll see the best of Jalen Hurts without Lane Johnson, but I still trust that he could get it done.
He's such a good football player. And Phil has a comment. I hate the Eagles, but their Christmas album was an absolute delight.
It really was.
No, it was like literally, and the one of the songs really had me crying when they brought Meryl Reese out. They had Jalen Hurts on there, Nick Sirianni, like it was the whole team. And I literally was in the car listening to it with my sister, and I started crying. But yeah, no, amazing Christmas album.
I want to ask you about the ground game. That's a huge disadvantage for us. It was a huge disadvantage for Wink and Baltimore too, and we're seeing it here now. Giants historically good against the run. Now, the run this year is a huge problem for us defensively. Last time out, the Eagles had 253 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. What adjustment? I mean, you would know best as an Eagles fan. What adjustment do the Giants need to make to help themselves out defensively against Miles Sanders, Boston Scott?
I think this definitely goes back to the Lane Johnson conversation as well, because I think you guys definitely have more of an upper hand now, just because we're not going to have the amount of time. And I think that's been a very crucial part to this season. Like, you've seen Jalen Hurts is obviously a mobile quarterback, so he has that advantage on him already. And we have a very strong run game. So I just think it's going to be the quickness, like making sure that we have absolutely no time to do anything. And like I said, that door's kind of open for you guys now. So I think that's going to be one way to stop it. It does give you guys the upper hand slightly, which makes me a little nervous. Again, luckily, your run defense, no offense, love you all, hasn't been super strong all year. So I'm hoping that with all of the pieces that we do have, throwing because Boston Scott, I was looking for him all game. They didn't throw him until garbage time. So I think kind of utilizing him a little bit more for us, relying on him and Miles Sanders as much as possible, and just having that dual threat, using Gainwell when possible, especially with no Lane Johnson. I think that's going to be the key into kind of still making moves. But I think for you guys, just trying to get to us as quick as possible to not really give us an opportunity to make that happen.
Yeah, I remember when Jordan and I were at the last Giants-Eagles game this year, Miles Sanders had these bright green cleats on, and every single time I saw these bright green cleats running down the field, I was like, there he goes. He's running off again. There he goes. And Jordan we kept looking for Boston Scott because Jordan actually had a bet on him.
Yeah, I had Boston Scott score 2 touchdowns.
Which did not hit, but still, nonetheless, yeah, the run game is definitely something that's really important, and I think we actually do have a little bit more of an opportunity to get on top of it, but still, it's a lot of work that needs to be done. But moving on to our next question here, Josh Sweat is somebody who, that may or may not be in this game. We don't really know what's going on with him, but who is going to be the person that's going to step up if Josh Sweat can't play in this game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I pulled up our depth chart right before the show to take a look. It's really sad because you have Robert Quinn on IR, you have Derek Barnett on IR, you have Josh Sweat, who's still questionable. So when I tell you we need Javon Hargrave and Linval Joseph to step up and play their little freaking hearts out, because I think there's a very slim chance that we see Sweat this week. I think realistically they're going to try and hold him for playoffs, which I want. But when you have the 1 seed on the line, it's going to be really scary. And I mean, you've seen our defense. Against the Cowboys, if our defense stepped up against the Cowboys, we could have won that game. Like, we were in it. Our offense was in it with them. It was back and forth. They needed every second of that game to beat us. So our defense is making me very nervous right now. And without Josh Sweat, I mean, we've had a lot of injuries, and I talked about that. I mean, the biggest thing the last time I was on here, we were talking about CJ Gardner Johnson.
Right.
Now we're talking about Josh Sweat. Like, it's just kind of been this rotation. But yeah, no. So we need Hargrave to really step up, and the rest of the defense to just play smart. We need our secondary to kind of just be aggressive, and if we can get them to get some flashy plays, couple turnovers when we can, I think stuff like that is going to be a big benefit for us, especially if our offense is a little shaky, and if everyone can kind of just like pull the broken pieces together to get us this one last win to get us to the playoffs, we'll get a lot more. I mean, Lane Johnson's pushing off surgery, so he can play in the postseason, and by that point we should have Josh Sweat back. It gives us that extra week to kind of get everyone healthy as much as possible. It's a tough end of the season, but yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting.
I was literally just thinking this.
They're related, right?
They are?
I think.
I'm going to Google it right now.
Yeah, I don't
Sweat?
know.
Because I was just thinking about that. After I asked that question, I was like, I wonder if Josh Sweat is related to Montez Sweat.
Before we get to the next question, and as Sam's Googling that, Daniel says, I think you might see Fletcher taking snaps at the end.
You might have to. It's slim pickings. So that would be crazy to see. But I mean, like, our pass.
Sam, I beat you to it. No, they're not.
I just read it, Hank. You didn't even give me a second to say it. No, they're not related whatsoever. No bloodline.
I'm too competitive, Sam. I'm sorry.
I was like right there. I was reading it as you said it.
But yeah, no, I mean, because our pass rush is in really good shape. So if they gotta rotate a little bit just to kind of hold us together, I mean, it's this last game, and we are a healthy Eagles team. Again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. A healthy Eagles team rolled over the Giants in MetLife. So I just need this broken team right now to kind of put the puzzle pieces together to do enough to just get us a win, to clinch that 1 seed, give us the bye week. And then we take it from there, and we reevaluate in playoffs.
Larry saying what's up. He's a fellow Cowboys, not a fellow, sorry. Cowboys fan entering the chat. I almost spooked myself out there. What's up, Larry? Thank you for the comment. Dudo, my man, Baizan. Massive salutes and respects to Tommy, Hank, Sam, and Colt from all of us. Over 200 diehard Italian Giants fans, all rugby players from Italy here in stinky city of Philly.
I mean,
Philly is a beautiful place to be.
I don't think Philly's that bad, but is it my favorite city? Can't say that it is.
I don't even think it's. I know it is fine. I have to say that.
Larry says he knew I was a Cowboys fan. I can't say too much because my second cousins are Eagles fans, so I will plead the fifth on that. Yeah. Hank, I believe you're up on the panel now.
Yeah, I am. I'm still trying to get all this.
Regain your composure.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, now I know what I'm going to ask you. So, Jordy, what would you say is your biggest concern about the Eagles as we head into the playoffs?
I mean, I hate to keep going back to it, but it's all the injuries. Just because there's such big names on both sides of the ball. That, I mean, we've already seen it affecting us. And again, like, even if Jalen Hurts plays, we don't know what Jalen Hurts hasn't played in 2 weeks. We don't know. Initially, I thought the injury was like next to nothing, but for him to even be a question mark coming into this game, that's kind of like, I mean, it's not end all break all because we're in the playoffs no matter what. But when we dominated this whole season and now we're still fighting for that 1 seed in week 18 against a division rival, and there's still a question mark if he's going to play, it does make me super nervous. And we really need him to be. I mean, we saw the game against the Colts. We played awful that game. Offense and defense could do nothing, but it was Jalen Hurts himself that was the glue that kind of got us that W. And that's kind of the game that I'm expecting in this, where it's going to be nitty gritty down to the end. And then we just kind of pull it out at the very end. which I'd be okay with. Like I said, I just want we need to win by 1 point. 1 point gets us the 1 seed. That's all I need. But yeah, no, it's definitely just these big names, and hopefully, I mean, we have a lot of depth that's helped us out all season. So just need all of these other guys to kind of step up and get it done.
Slot corner. Avante is not practicing, right?
Yeah, no, it's bad. He's got a significant toe injury.
That's not good.
Didn't Avante just come back that game against the Giants?
Yes, I believe. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was his first game back. And then
yeah, and we have Dallas Goedert back. I really haven't seen. I mean, Dallas Goedert, he's made good catches, but it just seemed like Gardner Minshew really wasn't clicking. And I don't know if that's on our offensive coordinator, if they're calling plays that are made for Jalen Hurts that don't fit Gardner Minshew. I don't know. And I saw AJ Brown, who's been calm, cool, and collected all season, get really, really, really mad. And I haven't really seen that side of it. It just seemed like the communication wasn't there. And I don't know if that's on Gardner, if it's on the coaching. Like, I don't know what the issue is, but our team just feels tense right now. And I literally remember the last time I came on here, I was like, what's guiding us right now is the good vibes around our team. Like, no one's being a diva. Everyone's communicating. And we've been lacking that. And that's resulted in 2 losses back to back. So, I really want to, as much as, I mean, I talk to Sam about this regularly for the last couple weeks. I was like, rest Jalen Hurts. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him till playoffs. And now I'm like, please come out at least for a little bit. Give us that head start. And then we'll see what happens from there, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely an interesting thing to see what happens. I'm not sure what this IHOP comment's about. Do we know any context to that? Something about 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew, were they involved in an IHOP incident? I have no idea.
I don't know. Or AJ Brown? Was AJ Brown?
I have no idea.
Not sure, but
I want to hear about it though.
Yeah, elaborate on that if you could, please. Trying to keep up with all the comments. But Jordan, next question. If the Eagles clinch the 1 seed, you'd be off the first week. Mm-hmm. Who do you think you would get in the second round?
So if I was looking at this ahead of time, if the playoff bracket stays the way it is right now, I mean, it'd be Tampa playing Dallas. And at that point, we'd either be up against Tom Brady or Dak Prescott. And I don't want to play either of them. Personally, I'm honestly low-key hoping for Tom Brady a little bit. I think our team there's just so much with the Cowboys and the Eagles that, I don't know, division playoff games are intense. And the Bucs feel like a very beatable team right now. Now I'm saying that, talking about a very healthy Eagles team. If the Eagles played like they did the first half of this season, not even the first 3 quarters of this season, we can beat the Bucs. I'm really not worried about that. The injuries make me a little nervous. And there are pros. I mean, when we lost to the Cowboys, I mean, I saw, and again, I think this was us just trying to cling on to hope and feel better about a loss, but statistically, it is very, very, very difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. So if we do take on the Cowboys, we're split. It's kind of anybody's game at that point, but I'd honestly rather play the Bucs. I really would.
Playoff Tom Brady, though.
It is.
They just haven't looked.
I know, but he does that sometimes, and then he ends up in the playoffs, and then it's just like.
He also hates the Eagles.
This is what I
Mike
think.
Evans is back.
Be careful what you wish for, though.
Evans is back.
Yeah.
And they're finally starting to throw to him again. But if all the seedings stay the same and the Eagles get the 1, and this is why I want the Giants starters to play on Sunday. If we upset Minnesota, we would likely get the Eagles, because I don't see San Francisco losing to the 7th seed.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be Giants-Eagles in the divisional round.
Holy moly.
And then you would avoid Tampa and Dallas.
I just got chills. I just got chills.
I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That could be, because we should have won the game in Minnesota on Christmas Eve, but we didn't. So that's a place we go back there 3 weeks later and beat them.
That's a tricky situation because, like I just said, statistically, it is very hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. So if we beat you guys this weekend and then see you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's probably not good.
Cowboys fan Larry, not confident in a first-round matchup against Tom Brady.
Well, by the way, Tom, fun fact, there was a Giant team that did beat the Eagles thrice in a season. Do you know what it was?
It wasn't 08 because that was the 23-11 game.
2010?
2000?
Yeah, Giants won 3 times that year.
The Seahorn pick 6, right? That was that game.
Yes, that was the last time the Giants ever really had the Eagles number, I would say. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Maybe 2007 we stopped them, but that was the last time the Giants had a long winning streak against the Eagles.
Jim Fossil. That was the Jim Fossil versus Andy Reid days.
No, 2001, Daniel, was your first win against us since, I want to say, 1996.
As a Giants fan to Cowboys Nation, you play to win the game. Interesting. So you'd rather face Philly than Dallas? Yeah, you don't know ball. Confusion.
I don't really have a preference on any.
I think they're both pretty equal.
Yeah.
Opponents.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be.
It would depend on where we're at in terms of the other team's injuries, so on and so forth. But I mean, I don't want to play either of them, to be honest.
Well, wait, for the 7th seed, is that gonna be? So what if Seahawks lose? Will it be whoever wins Giants Packers? I mean, not Giants Packers, Lions Packers.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if the Seahawks win, they're in. If they lose, it's the winner.
No. If Seattle loses, they need Green Bay to lose to get in.
No, because the Lions can still get in.
I'm sorry. If Seattle wins, they need Green Bay to lose. Green Bay, it's a win and in.
So if
which makes no sense because they're the 9 seed. But according to that Kornacki guy, the guy who does all the
Seahawks this season, is that why? Did Packers and Seahawks play this season?
But if the Lions win and the Seahawks win too, the Lions don't get into the playoffs?
No, the Seahawks would stay.
That is some BS.
The Lions would need Seattle.
I'm rooting against the Seahawks.
I know, and I feel so bad because I was so excited for Venus with all season, but I want the Lions in the playoffs so bad.
I know,
Baker.
me too.
The Rams historically have the Seahawks number. This year's a different year.
That was even true.
Baker.
I think the Rams are going to win.
You hear me say.
Peace, love, Baker.
If the Giants beat the Vikings in the first round, I will destroy my jean shorts. Oh, interesting.
Those must be very important to you, Craig.
Yeah. Jamie says hello, ladies.
Hi, Jamie.
That's my mom, by the way. Jordy and Sam. Sam, you know this, but Jordy, my mom's also one of your biggest fans. Just thought I'd put that out there.
We love Hank's mom.
So much. I love
Hank's
mom. Sam, obviously we're big Brian Dable fans, but setting you up here,
yes.
Nick Sirianni, the job he's done since taking over.
Yeah, definitely. Nick Sirianni was somebody that I know even Jordan was a little nervous about. Nick Sirianni coming in and being the head coach. He kind of didn't know what was going on and, this and that. But Jordan, what would you say is your top 3 ranked candidates for head coach of the year this year?
So ironic enough, they're all kind of, you guys are going to like this. So Nick Sirianni, I mean, to me, especially it comes down to if we win tomorrow. If we win tomorrow, I think it's Nick Sirianni. But I want to give a very honorable mention to Brian Dable because I think he could absolutely deserve it. I mean, he kind of came in and brought life to the Giants, which he just made them fun again. You guys were fun this season. There were a couple moments this season where I was watching you guys and I was like, they kind of got a vibe to them. They got a swag. And for you guys to make the playoffs for the first time in so long, I don't know. I just think he deserves recognition. So he's on my list. And then as much, I love to say this, Doug Peterson making.
Wow.
The Jags may win their division, which is insane to me. The quick turnaround that they had. And for him to kind of just come in and do it. And their team is so far from being complete. And yet he's potentially taking them to the playoffs in his first year there. It just goes from one of the worst. Oh, yes. I think Dougie P deserves the recognition.
I thought for a second, you were going to say Dan Campbell.
I do love him. I do, and I think he's fantastic. And the Lions picked it up towards the end of this season.
Yeah, but they were a little on the decline for a bit.
Like there was a big chunk of the season where I was like, what is happening to you guys? Like, I wanted you to be better than this. And they figured it out. But I think consistently throughout the season, I mean, Brian Dable stands out to me. Doug Peterson, 1000%. I mean, the Jags kind of started slow and have consistently. Trevor Lawrence is one of the most underrated players in the league. He is not getting
100%
respect. He is on fire, and I think he's just kind of come out and shown like yeah, I had a really crappy rookie season, but I had literally the worst coach that has ever existed in NFL history behind me. He literally kicked the kicker.
Yeah.
So I think for him to now be put into the system, and I think Doug Peterson's a really big part of that. So those are my three.
So I like it. Ironically enough, I don't know if I'd give it to Dable. I think O'Connell deserves a little recognition because despite the Vikings and their terrible point differential, despite being 12-4, Zimmer was holding Kirk Cousins back. And now all of a sudden we're like, oh, Kirk Cousins is good, and O'Connell's been a big part of that. No one thought the Vikings would win the North except for yours truly. But I don't know. Did any of you pick the Vikings to win the North?
No, I still had Packers.
No. I still had the Packers, yeah.
Yeah, but
I did say that. I think Jordan also said that the Lions were going to come in second.
I did.
I think I said that too.
I said it was going to be Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears, and what? It's probably going to be. It is Vikings, and then that second is up for
Detroit, Green
this
Bay.
Weekend.
Whoever wins. Daniel's answered our question. 7 conference losses for the Seahawks. Green Bay only has 6. So the Seahawks have more conference losses.
That's right, because one of those losses was to the Jets.
Sam loves this comment.
No,
just read it.
No. We do not need any more Dable goatees.
I'll do it.
Well, Tom, it works. No Dable. Dable needs to. He came out last week. He didn't have it, right? I think he shaved it off.
He's growing it back, like growing his actual beard.
I don't mind
back.
the full
beard, right?
Full beard.
Like,
it's just when he cut it right there, and I was like, dude, no.
That was his look most of his time in Buffalo.
Well, it's terrible, and someone should tell him that. It does not work for his face shape.
Comment section's blowing up right now. I don't know which one to pin, but we do have to get to some more questions about the game. There was one thing, Jordan, I wanted to bring up to you. Trevor Lawrence is a borderline Pro Bowl talent this year, and I think the coaching change is what helped him. Where I think Daniel Jones's talent was hidden as well because of the horrendous coaching that he had. I think what Lawrence dealt with for 1 year under Urban Meyer, Daniel Jones dealt with for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Under Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge.
No, I think Hank said it best right before I came on. Daniel Jones is never going to be this like amazing MVP quarterback, but this year, and I made fun of Sam many a times where I was like, come on, you're still believing in Daniel Jones? This year, I mean, he proved with the right talent around him, he's a system quarterback. I think you put him in a good offense with a good coach, he'll be able to win you games. So will he ever be able to win you the Super Bowl? I think that's still up for question, but I think he deserves at least one more year with, like you said, Tom, I think you added in, get him some good receivers, put him in the system, give him one more year. I think he's earned that. And I said, not this year. I said that last year should be his last chance.
So did we, though, to be fair. And then we were like, no, this year.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, this year, this is really his last chance. And you know what? He earned another year. So I'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Guys commenting, sorry if I don't get to the comments. This is a Giants show. Just a heads up. So any non-Giants, Eagles comments probably won't get pinned. But let's get to our keys to the game. Jordan, I'll start with you. What do the Eagles need, whether it's Hurts, whether it's Minshew, what do the Eagles have to do to come out victorious on Sunday?
I think you're going to need one. I would love to see Dallas Goedert kind of really help out because I think we have all of the weapons. I mean, we have our run game is very strong. Our receivers are strong. With Dallas Goedert now healthy and out there too, whoever is at quarterback without Lane Johnson, there's just so many options. And we can get kind of creative and make things work. But I'm gonna say Dallas Goedert just because he started off the season great, obviously had the injury, and since he's came back, he's been consistent. But I really want to see he just has these breakout moments in games. And I think especially right now, we could really use that. So I'm going to say Dallas Goedert. I really need him to step up in the midst of everything. That's going to be one of my keys.
Yeah, I would say my key is going to circle back to the previous Giants-Eagles game and the fact that the run game obviously is something that we talked about a lot earlier, but the run game definitely needs to be stopped because it was something that was the thing that sent us over the edge because not only were they progressing in the air and at impeccable speed, but we couldn't even stop them. We need to be able to stop them in one place. It wasn't working well for either side, but the run game is something that at least we can work on, especially with, we were talking about Lane Johnson being out. Plus Jalen, if Jalen does end up playing mobile quarterback, somebody takes off every once in a while, we need to really contain that because we can't give up extra yards, just like that. So definitely stopping the run, which is something I think, I don't know, how many shows have we done? 18 now. I think I've said it at least 15 times this year. So stop the run.
I think protecting Daniel Jones. The big problem is the Eagles have 4 players with 11 plus sacks. That includes Hassan Reddick, who has 16 and continues to just blow up the Giants every time they play. The Eagles have 6 plus sacks in 5 straight games, and the Giants gave up 7 sacks in week 14. But what's ironic is the Giants arguably had their best game from their offensive line in over a decade last week. And it all starts with Andrew Thomas, who he may not be a better tackle than Lane Johnson, Jordan, but I think Andrew Thomas does deserve to be a first-team All-Pro this year at the left tackle position because of his pass blocking grade is astronomical. 3rd-ranked tackle on PFF. Take that with a grain of salt, but I just think overall him, the rotation at left guard with Nick Gates and Ben Bredesen seems to be working. Evan Neal is getting better. I think protecting Daniel Jones. Hank, what's yours?
I would say that's definitely one of them, but another one of my keys to the game, I would have to say on the other side, you're going to have to pressure Jalen Hurts if he plays, especially because that offensive line is significantly weaker with the loss of Lane Johnson. But Tom, you know what else I'm going to say? Just get off the field on 3rd down.
I agree. Getting off the field on 3rd down is always key. Winning the time of possession battle. Eagles offense was 6 of 11 on 3rd down last time out. They controlled the ball. So all good stuff, all good keys to the game. And I think the Eagles controlling the clock too is key.
Oh yeah.
Jason Kelce is great, but Isaac Samalu, I think, is criminally underrated at left guard. Jordan, he's quietly a pretty good player. He's been the starter for a few years now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We obviously have our stars and we have our rocks, but the guys next to them have been fantastic all year. So I don't want to harp so much on Lane Johnson because I don't want to take away from what they've done. Just need them to step up for one more game. Get one more win.
I think that's a great point. Players to watch. Let's go with each person gets 2. Jordan, we'll start with you. Who are your players to watch in this game. Could be from either team, maybe one on each side.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously our defense has been super iffy. I mean, I want us to stop Saquon, and that's if he starts. Clearly, I mean, I heard what you guys were saying before I came on, where you want everyone to start for at least the first half, which is basically what I'm saying for my team too. Selfishly, I hope you rest everyone. Because, I just want to kind of come out and roll over your backups and just get it done, wash our hands, take that 1 seed and be fine. But if you guys, which I think you guys are pretty spot on with, everyone will at least start and play for a chunk of time. And in that chunk of time that they play, just stop Saquon. Kind of make sure he's not able to do anything. Because our run defense hasn't been super great in the last couple weeks, but we do have a tendency of, like, when we played the Colts, everyone was like, you're not gonna be able to stop Jonathan Taylor, and we did. When we played the Titans, everyone was like, you're not gonna be able to stop Derrick Henry, and we did. And it took like all of our forces to stop them, but it was enough to win the game. So I think if we can just kind of focus on stopping Saquon. So I know you wanted like key players. Saquon is a key player because we need to stop him. And then other than him on the Eagles, I really want to watch, Jason Kelce, which sounds crazy, but if Gardner Minshew's out there, their communication hasn't been great. And there's a very good chance that we see Gardner Minshew for the entire game or at least half the game. And I don't want us to be in a situation where Jalen Hurts starts, puts us in a good position, and then something funky happens and we blow it. So that's I'm going to say Jason Kelce, and that's mainly for if Gardner's out there, just so they can kind of fix up whatever happened the last 2 weeks, because you don't see Jason Kelce make mistakes often, and we saw a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. My two guys, I'll start with Philly first. We know that Daniel Jones performs the best when he has the time, and this past week he wasn't sacked one time. Kid had 2 in the air, 2 on the ground. So I'm going to say that on the Eagles side that I'm going to be watching out for is going to be Brandon Graham, Eagles defensive end, because last time we played them, I believe he had 3 sacks. He had a forced fumble. He was constantly all over the place. So he's something that we definitely have to work on, because if we contain him and obviously the rest of the Eagles defense as well, Daniel Jones will continue to be able to ball out the way that he did last week. And on the Giants side of the ball, I'll say Andrew Thomas for the same reason. Somebody who needs to step up to make sure that the Eagles defense doesn't get to Daniel Jones, because like I said, if Daniel Jones has the time, he's going to make it happen. So those are going to be my 2 guys to watch this weekend.
I like that you went with Andrew Thomas, because you know that's usually my go-to, but I'm glad somebody else kind of took him for a change, because I kind of got tired of taking him. I'm going to say Kayvon Thibodeau for the Giants. I think he's going to build off another strong week. And as far as the Eagles go, I'm definitely going to have to go with Miles Sanders. And the reason I say Miles Sanders, again, goes back to my comments about the offensive line. Let's see if he has another strong rushing game against the Giants, but this time sans Lane Johnson.
Yeah. Kayvon Thibodeau is a force to be reckoned with. 4 sacks on the season, a lot of pressures. He probably should have more sacks than he does, but he has been held a lot this season. For me, for the Giants, I'm going with Isaiah Hodgins. Wide receiver, 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games. He's only played 8 games for the Giants. He has 0 drops on 48 targets this season, a 78.5% catch rate. Last game against Philly, he had that touchdown against Darius Slay. Darius Slay is a top 20 corner in the NFL easily. So for a guy who has 3 picks on the season, Hodgins did a really good job against him, in my opinion, and it opened things up in the middle for guys like Richie James and Daniel Bellinger to get open. Because remember, James also had a good game that day, mainly because of Isaiah Hodgins garnering some attention. My second player to watch, it's with Bradbury and Slay. You always have to look over the middle of the field. Daniel Bellinger, number 1 tight end in catch percentage this season. There are 44 tight ends in the National Football League with 29 or more targets. So that's a big, big recognition. 85.7% catch rate when targeted. Through 12 games this season, remember, he had that gruesome eye injury earlier this year, 30 catches, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing as well for a tight end. That's very uncommon. And did anyone mention Dexter Lawrence?
No, I don't think so.
No. Best nose tackle in the league this year, in my opinion. Pro Bowler. Big reason why the Giants are going to the playoffs. 7.5 sacks. 32 quarterback hurries for a guy who's 340 pounds.
Big man.
It's a big man.
For the Eagles, I like TJ Edwards a lot. I really do. He's a great linebacker, 149 tackles on the year. He's ranked the 2nd best linebacker on PFF. Great year for him. 10 tackles for loss 2 and 7 passes defended. Very solid in coverage. I'm concerned about him. And as always, Brandon Graham. Holy shit. We can't block this guy. We really can't. Last game against the Giants, he had 3 sacks. 3 QB hits and a forced fumble, 11 sacks on the year. That's going to be tough for the Giants to go after. So those are our players to watch. We have a couple more comments here. Somebody mentioned something before about our thoughts on Devontae Smith. Jordan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, no, I actually saw a lot of people on Twitter this week say that Devontae Smith needs to step up more. I think he's had a great season. And it's like every game that AJ Brown isn't going off, Devontae Smith is going off. And that's exactly the dynamic that we wanted by, drafting Devontae Smith last year and then bringing AJ Brown in this year. That's literally why we have the 2 of them. Obviously, in an offense like this, especially when we have such a strong run game as well, when he's healthy, when we have a good tight end in Dallas Goedert too, like you're not going to be able to have like both guys just go off every single game. But this is the first time in years that we've had 2 Eagles wide receivers with over 1,000 receiving yards in a season. Like both of them, both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are doing incredible. And like I said, when one isn't there, the other one is right there waiting. Like, don't worry, I still have your back. So I can't say enough good things about the 2 of them. And I'm confused and I'm not saying, Craig, I'm not saying that you said this. I'm just bringing it up because I saw it a lot this week and was taken back. So I was like, where's all this Devontae Smith hate coming from? He's done fantastic. So I love him. The last time we played you guys, he was going off against you guys.
He had that touchdown, that 4th down touchdown that he just ended up in the end zone that we were on. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
And I was I was sitting there and I was like, oh my God. It was a 4th down, like early on.
It was like 4th and 7 too. Like it wasn't like a 4th and 1.
And I was like, I literally looked at Sam and I was like, what are we doing? And then I just saw him run in and literally I just I didn't even react. Like I just was like,
yeah,
oh my God, that's
bonkers. It was a beautiful catch and a beautiful throw.
I think Devontae Smith is outshined by AJ Brown, but I think Devontae Smith knew that was going to happen when we brought in AJ Brown. And going back, I talked about this a lot the last time I was on here about how no one on this team's a diva. Like everyone just kind of knows their place and everyone wants the team to do well for the sake of winning and getting us to the playoffs and eventually getting that Super Bowl. I think I love him. And I think even if AJ Brown wasn't on this team, obviously we see how much he's elevated us. I think Devontae Smith would be fantastic. Devontae Smith could be a wide receiver 1 on like majority of any other team in the league right now. Like name it. I'll say there's 20 teams in the NFL that Devontae Smith could go and immediately be a wide receiver 1. So
the Giants.
The Giants.
Giants. 1,400 yards, 21 big play catches this season. That's more than all the Giants receivers combined.
Yeah.
And that's our wide receiver too. So, I think he's stepped up. I think he's great.
I would agree.
It's going to be crazy stuff. But let's pick this game here before we let you go, Jordan. We appreciate your time as always. Who do you have winning this football game, and what's your final score? You mentioned one point potentially, so I'm interested to see if you go there.
No, I'm going to say that the Eagles win 21-17. I don't think it's going to be a super crazy high scoring game. I think everyone's just going to come out and get it done. It's going to be closer than last time because we're banged up. I'm going to speak the way that I did last time about, I'm going to give the Giants credit because I feel like that was good karma, where I was like, nice. And then the Eagles were like, haha, Jordan, look what we're doing. So I'm hoping that happens again, especially on our own turf with the 1 seed on the line. But no, I'm going to say 21-17 Eagles.
We were almost close again.
Close.
Almost. But I'm actually kind of flipped. So I actually think that the Giants are going to win this game. But I do think it's going to be by 1 point. And I do think it is going to be 21-20 Giants win. I have to go with them this week. Last time I felt so guilty. So I have to take them this week. And after last week's performance, I 100% think that this is going to be one of the better games this weekend. I genuinely believe that. I think it's going to be a great game.
I hope.
Hank?
I think this is going to be a really close game. I don't, unfortunately, think the Giants are going to win. I have the Eagles winning 24-21. But the more important thing is that I think the Giants will play a close enough game to where it'll be a confidence booster for them going into the playoffs. Oh, and somehow Danny has the same exact prediction as I did.
Yeah. What was your score, Hank? Sorry, I missed that. I lagged for a second.
24-21 Eagles.
24-21 Eagles. Okay. We're going with the Giants.
Yay!
I'm going with the Giants. Tudo brings up a good point before, if I can get it, because we have all these fake accounts tonight commenting. We know who you are, people. Tommy, Giants should play all their starters to win this game and gain their confidence going into the playoffs, and also to gel together in all trenches. It would help them tremendously to beat the boys and loses. I think the final score will be Giants 23-22. I'm going with that 1 point, Jordan. That 1 point.
1 point. 1 point.
And folks, if you remember week 14, I was saying I think they split this year. You guys remember that?
I said they were going to split too.
I was confident you guys were going to split because I didn't think we would have to play this week.
Yeah.
I thought everything was going to be wrapped up, bing, bang, boom, done. And I was like, cool, Giants can win week 18. It won't even matter at that point. And now we have to fight for our lives.
Larry says, let's go Giants. Appreciate you, Larry. Tudo, Giants 24-17 win. Tudo, I hope you enjoy that game at the link, man. Really appreciate you commenting as always. Happy New Year to you and your buddies as well. But Jordan, any final thoughts here before we sign off and where people can find your lovely content?
Yeah, no, you can find my personal content, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere at the Sporty Jordy, just like this. You can find me and Sam, my coworker, my literal other half, that I talk to every second of every day. You can find all of our stuff, all the fun stuff that we're doing on Mojo at Mojo, MOJO, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We are everywhere. A lot of exciting stuff coming up with Mojo too by the end of this month. I can't give too much away, but Sam knows what I'm talking about. So a lot of fun stuff coming. But yeah, that's where you can find us at the Sporty Jordy at Mojo. And my final thoughts are I just really hope to see Jalen Hurts grace the field this weekend with his presence and get us that 1 seed. Oh, yeah. Someone just commented about the Chargers jersey. I wouldn't say I'm a Chargers fan. I would say I'm in love with a golden-haired boy named Justin Herbert. So, yes, bolt up, baby.
Bolt up.
Let's
go.
Yeah. They might get that 5 seed in the AFC. But, Jordan, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend. Not too much, but best of luck.
May the best team win.
Yes.
Happy New Year, and let's go Big Blue.
Go Birds. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.